You know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
What's up, YouTube? The big thing this week, of course, oh my gosh, it's just been crazy. This past week or so, you know, they had the mass shootings, the one in El Paso and the one in Dayton, Ohio. First of all, they found out that both of these guys were Democratic Socialists. The one in Dayton, Ohio, he was a follower of Elizabeth Warren, and he was Antifa. He was a far left extremist, but he had mental issues. Same thing with the guy in El Paso. He was a Democratic Socialist, but the one thing they got right was he was a white supremacist. Now, that is not the same thing as a white nationalist. A nationalist is someone who puts their country first before other countries. In other words, they're all about their country. They take pride in their country. A supremacist is someone who believes their race is better than somebody else's race. They are racist. It's a completely different thing. And the media tries to throw out white nationalists all the time. And that's not the same thing as a white supremacist. So, get your facts right. Anyways, the guy in El Paso, he was a white supremacist. However, he was a Democratic Socialist. He was angry because he put him out a manifesto where he was angry that the Democratic Party was not doing their job in Congress. That they were letting a bunch of illegals invade our country. So he took it upon himself to take the law into his own hands. He was a racist. However, the far left and the media, what they want to do is they want to brainwash people into blaming Trump for it. That it was all Trump's fault, even though mass shootings have been going on way before Trump came into office. So it's fake news. It's wrong. Trump is not a racist, but they want you to believe he is. I don't know if you know who the conservative twins are. They have a YouTube channel. They're YouTubers. They literally put out they showed like a poster or whatever of you know, mass shooters within several years or whatever. The media wants you to think and portray that all mass shooters are these white supremacists. It's white people doing all the mass shootings, when the majority of the mass shootings are people of all different colors. The majority of them are people of color. You know, your blacks, Latinos. They're the ones who do most of the mass shootings. And they literally prove that on their YouTube channel. The other thing I want to point out is, or talk about on this topic, is Trump did a speech where he mentions that these people who are mentally disturbed or need help, you know, people are not catching it in time. They're not even though there's tons of signs, they're not stopping them. They're not getting them the mental help they need. However, he mentions in his speech that these mentally disturbed people are, you know, sometimes they get a hold of these violent video games, which are, he's talking about first-person shooter games. They sometimes get a hold of these games, they play them, and they're like, ooh, I wonder what that's like. I'd like to try that out myself, see what it's like in real life or something, you know. How would that feel, you know? And you know, some of these people who are mentally disturbed are going out shooting people because, you know, they want to see what it's like in real life. Now, he didn't blame all video games, and he wasn't blaming video games for all the mass shootings. What he was saying was, you know, some of these violent video games, you know, are a little bit of a problem in today's society. You know, they're not necessarily, you know, everyone who plays the video games are going to go out and commit crimes, obviously. That's not what he was saying. He was saying that some of these video games, violent video games, you know, they, you know, contribute to some of the violent behavior in some of, you know, this generation, which is at all, you know, it's possible. You know, that's partly true. But, you know, I'm a gamer, and Jeremy from Geekin' Gamers, he's a gamer, and some of the other gamers out there, all they heard was video game. They heard him mention video games, and then they literally went off the wall, going, "Oh, you can't blame video games for," and he's not blaming all video games, and he's just pointing out certain video games, first-person shooters like Call of Duty and Fortnite, contribute to sometimes violent tendencies and behavior in people, and they do. I'm going to put a link in the description down below. You can check it out yourself. I normally don't do research for people. If you can't do your own damn research, I think you're lazy. It literally shows in this article, updated article, just here the past few days, posted by the fucking mental health organization, Central Research and all that, whatever. It literally shows or states that it does cause aggression and violent tendencies, and that it decreases the amount of empathy that these type of first-person video games that are violent can cause disturbing changes in behavior. It's been proven. So Jeremy, you're wrong, bud. I'm sorry. You know, I don't always agree with Jeremy on everything, but I do agree with most of what he says. You know, me and him kind of, you know, we're on the same page a lot of times. But, you know, every now and then I disagree with him, and he can disagree with me too. It's not a big deal. You know, you know, I don't have a problem with him disagreeing with me either. But when the proof's there, when the research is done, all I want from Jeremy is to literally for him to put out a video that says, "Absolutely, I'm sorry, I apologize, I was wrong." I'm just correcting him. That's it. Jeremy, you know, you seem like a decent dude. All I'm asking is that you apologize for blaming Trump, that he's blaming video games when that's not what he was doing. You took his speech out of context. It was wrong, and the article literally proves that in some fashion he's right about video games. Not that it causes everyone to go out and commit crimes, but it does cause disturbing behavior and aggression and violence. Anyways, moving on. That's all I have to say about that. Let's get on to some other topics. I just recently got done watching John Wick 3. Naturally, it was a great movie, awesome movie, a lot of action. My only problem with the entire movie was some of the action sequences felt very pushed, very choreographed. But other than that, the movie was awesome. It was excellent. I highly recommend it. I can't wait to see the fourth one. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a television show that's done by Amazon Prime. It was Seth Rogen helped write it. It's called The Boys, and it's basically about a group of guys whose superheroes have basically killed someone in their life and caused a lot of problems for them. And these superheroes are not held accountable. They're owned by corporations, and they literally get away with a bunch of stuff. So they're basically fighting them, trying to get them to be held accountable. It's a good show. It's messed up. Some parts are messed up, but that's Rogen for you. But it's a good show. I highly recommend it. Check it out. I watched the whole season. It's a good show. The next thing I want to talk about is Final Fantasy VII. I just got done playing it. Perhaps one of the greatest RPG games of all time. It's not hard to figure out. It's, you know, the gameplay is awesome, and it's really some of the cinematics when you're doing the summons is really cool. Like I said, probably one of the best RPG games of all time. One of them, maybe not the best, but pretty damn close. The story is awesome too. I suggest you play it, check it out. You will not be disappointed. Last thing I'm going to do before we get to your B-movie reviews, the CW put out a new show called Pandora. It's supposed to be some sci-fi about aliens or whatever, but don't even bother. It was boring. I checked it out. It's literally the first 5 minutes. The girl, the lead actress, comes out and literally, you know, she's got a chip on her shoulder. She has an attitude. She's all about feminism. Blah blah blah. It's ridiculous. I knew it was going to be screwed after that. Plus, they have one little alien in there, and he's boring as hell too. So it's not even. It don't make any sense. It was just plain weird, and it was dumb. It was terrible show. But what do you expect from the CW? Most of their shows are like that. So, without further ado, I got you a video reaction. This is a ghost video reaction, a top 10 video ghost reaction. So let's check it out. Let's get on it.
Anything. Come on, please, anything.
That's third plate mug.
Now, I'm not being funny, people. I'm going. Word water's just come up.
That is in the name.
As in the name.
Okay. I tend to have a problem. I like paranormal stuff,
I'm going.
but when I see videos like this,
Yeah, but look, it's come up with chat. I'm not going to
it's
sit
real
here.
hard
Thrown at me.
to say, hey, that's
There,
authentic,
please show yourself.
just because
It's thrown at me.
they've shown how people can fake that really easily.
Okay,
because I'm gonna tell you right now, there's no... Okay.
Time to go. We're going.
I didn't see anything in that one. I don't know what they were. I've actually seen this one before. This clip. Again, that can be faked. I'm not saying it is fake, but it's real hard to prove that that's actually ghost activity. Unless you're there. I've seen a bunch of these baby monitors. There's some really creepy crap that they're catching with these baby monitors. It's some weird shit. Again, just because you have some objects moving, it can be fake. Just never know. It's hard to prove or disprove something like that. Unless you're there and you witness it yourself. I've seen this one before too. This clip. The broom pops out or something on the side of the door. Again, something like that, it's hard to prove or disprove. Especially if you're not right there. Now, if you were right there, you run over there real quick and make sure that there's no one there or anything. A little bit different. Again, they've actually seen fake videos where people have faked this kind of stuff. It's hard to prove and disprove. Some of it could actually be realistic, but there's so many people who fake that crap that they've shown it can be fake. Not sure how you could. I'm sure it could be shown as fake. I don't know. This I don't believe at all. I think this is fake. This is definitely fake. There's someone standing over there. I've seen this one, this clip too. It's actually kind of freaky. There's a shadow figure in the back of the plane that keeps peeking out at him. However, the problem I have with this clip is that instead of running back there to show that there's nothing there, he runs the opposite way, getting all freaked out about it, when he should be running towards it to prove, hey, there's nothing here.
No, mama.
Yeah, anyway, that's that. Like I said, a lot of them paranormal videos are hard to, most of them can be faked. I don't know, I like paranormal videos. Not all of them can be fake. There's got to be some gems or some real ones out there in the bunch. Just hard to tell. That was my reaction video. Alright, movie holics, let's move on to your cult classic or B movies reviews. I went action this round, or for this week. I'm keeping it from last week. I'm keeping it in the 70s. Some 70s movies, action flicks. And I figured I'd just do some David Carradine movies. All three of them star David Carradine. The first one I chose to do was a movie called Cannonball, which was done in 1976. It pulled in about $3 million domestically, so it really didn't do all that great, but it didn't do terrible either. This movie was inspired, or it had Roger Corman in it, though he wasn't really like the producer of the movie or anything, but he did inspire the movie. He even did a cameo in it. But there was also cameos by Martin Scorsese and Sylvester Stallone. He did a cameo and he kind of played like this thug or whatever, gangster thug guy. He's only in there for like a couple minutes. It says a couple lines. This starred, of course, David Carradine, Bill McKinney as the bad guy, the guy who's always trying to kill him, and then Veronica Hamill, which is kind of David's love interest or whatever. She's like a cop or something, or an FBI agent or federal agent. The movie is based off the whole the illegal street race from coast to coast. Most people know the movies called The Cannonball Run 1 and 2 by Burt Reynolds, that starred Burt Reynolds. Those movies were came from this. They were inspired by this movie. There was a movie previous to this called The Gumball Race that this movie was inspired by. Same thing. I've never seen the Gumball Race. I'll have to check it out one of these days. I have seen the Cannonball Run movies. I debated on whether doing those or not, but those are both set in the 80s. So I stuck to the 70s this round again. But Cannonball wasn't a bad movie. It was actually pretty decent. It has some decent acting in it. The racing wasn't all that bad. The cars, of course, were cool looking. It didn't have as many racers as, you know, the Cannonball Run does, but it had like, it only showed like 6 or 7 racers participating in the race. One of them was David Carradine's brother, Robert Carradine. He's in the Silver Vet. He's a half brother, by the way. He was in it. He's really young back then. You probably know him best from Revenge of the Nerds. He played the main star, the geek with the glasses. That's Robert Carradine. Anyways, that's basically what this movie is about, is a illegal race, and the cops are trying to catch him. Although it doesn't really show a whole lot with the feds and the racers, most of the movie deals with you know, the driver who hates David Carradine. They kind of have a rivalry, and they're kind of going at each other's throats during the entire movie. They're causing problems for each other. There's one scene that's literally ridiculous, where they have all these cars piling up in the middle of nowhere on some type of highway or whatever. Like these cars can't see that far in front of them, so they're all just going to start ramming each other, and it's a big old pileup, which was ridiculous because you knew better. Other than that, the movie wasn't bad. It was all right for what it was. If you're looking for something to watch and you want to watch some cool looking cars race it out, I recommend it. It's not bad. Next movie I watched was called Death Race 2000. This is a Roger Corman production. He got that off of Cannonball. This was done in 1975. Domestically, the movie made about $8 million. Wasn't horrible, wasn't terrible in the box office, so it was decent enough to make some money. And you know Roger Corman is the king of knockoffs and B-rated movies. He tried to make this more of a futuristic type of thing. It's set like supposed to be set way in the future. The main guy that stars in this, of course, is David Carradine. He's the one who plays Frankenstein, which is supposed to be a guy that they keep freezing in hibernation, and then they'll pull him out of hibernation whenever it's time for the race again, and so he can race in the race. They fix him up, body parts, fix up his body all the time, constantly fixing up his body. The next one is Simone Griffith. She kind of plays, each driver gets like a navigator, and she's a navigator for Frankenstein. Of course, you know, they're also their, you know, love toys or whatever. And of course, Sylvester Stallone was in this movie as well, but he wasn't quite famous at that point in time, so his name wasn't up on the top of the register or list or roster. Sorry. He's really young in this, and he's not all buffed out and stuff. He looks like a scrawny looking dude. But anyways, again, this movie's set in the future. They have this race every so often. Something to do with, you know, they're fighting the French, or the American government's fighting the French government for some odd reason. Doesn't really go into any great detail about it. But they have this race all the time, and it's a type of amusement or entertainment for the nation. They have these, they're cheesy looking. The cars in the movie are cheesy looking, but they've got them all decked out, and they put like, I don't know, like certain things on the bumper that's like knives or something like that, you know, something that they could kill people with. And now, when I've heard of this, but I've never watched it. When I first started watching, I thought, okay, this is supposed to be about, you know, some racers going around and trying to kill each other to get to the finish line. No, it's not like that at all. I mean, they went fucking total psycho on this movie. It's ridiculous. It was dark. The racers get points for killing people that's on the road or near the road that they could kill with their cars or vehicles. Oh, run them over or fucking hit them with their fucking knives or whatever they got on their car. And they get points for them, and they like, they even, you know, put a scale, point scale, like on little babies are worth 1,000 points or something like that. I was, what the heck, you know? Anyway, there's this group who wants to stop the race, and they're killing off the racers one by one. Frankenstein, or David Carradine, he finds out that his navigator is part of the group that's killing off the racers. Wants to usurp the president. Well, he ends up killing the president, and then he becomes president, and she becomes his like wife or some shit. It's fucked up. It's a fucked up movie. The acting wasn't bad. It was just the story was kind of retarded. But it's an okay movie for a watch, I guess. It was all right. It's just a little fucked up. The next movie, keeping it in the 70s again, it was actually supposed to be a sequel to Death Race 2000. It's another Roger Corman movie. However, they changed it, and it was supposed to be called Death Race 2050, but they changed it. They called it Death Sport, and instead of cars in this, they got these motorcycles with fucking supposed ray guns on them, which they call death machines. This was done in 1978. Only made like 400,000. It wasn't a really great movie. It didn't do real well. Of course, it starred David Carradine, and of course Claudia Jennings, a playmate. She died not too long after making this movie. And then the bad guy was Richard Lynch. He's the one chasing him around everywhere. Apparently, it's like after a post-apocalyptic event, like bombs fell or whatever. And there's mutants in the wasteland. And then you have two types of cities. I can't remember the names of them, but one is controlled by the people who are making the death machines, and the other is controlled by a group of like mystics or who believe in like meditation, that kind of crap. They're called guides, and they have these weird looking swords that look like glass. I think they're supposed to be crystal. And they call them whistlers because when you move them around, they sound like whistles. They hardly use them. They use them in a couple of fight scenes, but it's mainly at the very end. The main fight scene is where you see it used. The majority of the time, they got these fucking ray guns. Okay, these guys on the bikes, they got blasters that look like regular handguns. But then there's these other guns that some of them are carrying, including the guides or whatever. They got these with a strap on the back, looks like a big flashlight, and they're shooting like these electric beams out of them, killing people with them. So it's really weird. I don't understand why they have two different types of blasters, or ray guns, whatever. And then the swords, it made no sense. Anyway, the guides' jobs are supposed to transport people from one city to the other city. The overlord that's in control of the city that created the so-called Death Sport, which was these motorbikes and prisoners that they deem are to be executed. They can fight it out in an arena, and then the winner gets to go free. With that city, the overlord, he's going crazy. He's losing his mind, and he's killing people left and right. And he's really demented, and he's got this chamber where there's some nudity in this movie, just to let you know. Anyway, he's taking these girls and putting them, it was so dumb, he puts them in this square mat with like these little glass rods with lights in them, and it's supposed to be shocking them. It was so cheesy looking. I don't know, he's twisted, he's messed up, he's killing people left and right. The other guy, the guides, along with a couple other people, they break free of the death sport on some death machines and take off to the other city, and they're taking them with them, but they got to stop these so-called mutants from killing this little girl that's supposed to turn out to be a guide. So during the escape, you know, one of them dies. The kid, the other guy that they're taking to the city, he makes it. And then at the end, David Carradine and Richard Lynch, they have a big fight with the swords. Richard Lynch used to be one of them, but then he killed David Carradine's mother, so David Carradine gets revenge and kills him, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. The woman and the little girl, they go with David. They're a pair or a couple now, so they leave together. That's the end of the movie. It was bizarre, it was weird, it was not very good. The acting was mediocre. It was kind of a terrible movie. It wasn't really that great at all. I'm surprised they made it through the daggone thing. But otherwise, that's your B movies. If you have any suggestions, something I might not have seen that's actually a really decent movie, go ahead and leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of this video. And if you also let me know if you got the fact that Trump was not blaming video games, that he was just saying that video games could have been a contributing factor, not necessarily the cause of why they're going out and committing crimes. Anyways, leave your comments in the bottom below. Let me know what you think. And like I said, if you have any suggestions, let me know. If you want something reviewed or not. Anyways, I told you I'd tell you the truth, and you just been told.